Welcome to another episode of the Let Me Be Serious podcast, where we're always going to have a great time and still have a serious moment or two. This podcast is for the multi-hyphenates, the faith-filled and the dreamers, the creatives, the entrepreneurs, and the builders. If you are multi-passionate and or in a season of transition, this podcast is for you. My name is Egypt Cullum, and I am the host of this podcast. Hi, how are you doing? It's nice to see you. All right, to begin this episode off, we're going to start with the first segment, of course, things God has taught me this week. All right, it has actually been a very full week, so let's get started. The first thing on the list is sometimes you don't realize you're lacking something until you find it again. Last weekend, I had the best time with a group of friends. Sorry, I just drank some water, so I'm kind of burpy. Anyway, I had the best time with a group of friends, and it was really our first time hanging out in a friend group, but it was really, really amazing because I did not feel the need to filter. I didn't feel the need to show up as anything other than, hey, this is who Egypt is today. It was so great. And I didn't realize that I had not been doing that in a long time. And so when I had that experience, it was just such a breath of relief. It was so refreshing. It was great. So, yeah, sometimes you don't realize you're lacking stuff until you find it again. And that was really one of those things for me. So, and I'm very grateful. Next thing on this list of things God taught me this week is seeing abstinence as in the framework of a diet makes it easier for me to maintain a healthy mindset about it. I have not been abstinent for a while intentionally, right? And so this is very much a new process for me being intentional about it, right? It just happening versus being intentional, that those are two different things. And I'm also in a different place mentally, not being this person, right? But I'm just going to say this. I don't have to be, but I'm choosing to be. So that seeing it from the standpoint of, okay, this is just more like a diet, if anything. This is just something I'm choosing to not partake in, even though I can, even though if I really wanted to, I could, but I don't want to. And I have other goals outside of that that require me to not partake. And I'm okay with that. And so if I just see it as the same as I don't eat dairy, I'm not eating, grocery store chicken right now. I'm not, whatever it is, like I'm allergic to pineapples, not eating those. If I see it in that same framework, it makes it a lot easier for my mind to process and not freak out about like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life, spiral. Like I don't need to do that. I'm just not partaking in that particular thing. So, anyway, if it's not you, it's cool, but that works for me. Next on this list, patience is a battle within oneself. I am definitely in a season of delayed gratification, and I'm definitely in the early stages of it. So, me and my ADHD brain have been very much struggling. Like I'll go back and forth. Like I love to picture the future and it really does motivate me and make me excited. Then I'll hit moments where I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I've been working for this long and I'm not seeing it. And then it's just like really hits me sometime. And so just remembering patience and just reminding myself that the goal is delayed gratification because the goal is bigger. Like with immediate gratification, they're smaller prizes, basically. And I'm shooting for some really big stuff. So I just have to remind myself that I'm not going to see it immediately. That doesn't mean it's not coming. So I need to stop freaking out. I need to stop it. Stop freaking out, Egypt. So that was another big one. And last on this list, I am not supposed to be heavy lifting for anyone else in this season. Let me say that again. Oh, because it hit me again. Oh, Lord. I am not supposed to be heavy lifting for anyone else in this season. My present and future are not about anyone else other than me and God. Okay? That's what it is. That's what it is. The stuff I'm working on right now don't have the capacity for everybody's stuff, right? And it's not that I don't want to either. It's that God has told me I need to stop doing that because I will get so wrapped up in other people's story and being their side character in their story that I forget to be the main character in my own. Nope, not in this season. God said, this is about us. And I'm going to actually dive deeper into that topic. That is actually our main topic for today. I'm not in the season of heavy lifting for others. I'm not. I'm not doing the heavy lifting for others in this season. It doesn't make enough sense because I'm very grateful. Once again, I will always say I'm grateful for my support system. And my support system goes through their own things as well. I'm not at the point where I can take care of everybody, and that is okay. I couldn't do it before, and there's going to be in many ways I won't be able to do that in the future either. But I will also say this, I will also say this. With everything that everyone goes through, I am also going through stuff. I'm not trying to make myself the center of the universe, right? I'm not the center of the universe. I am the center of my world. Me and God, we're here together figuring this stuff out. And it's not anyone else's job to be here with me. Although they can come in and support me where I need, they are not God's level assistants for me. Like, they are not there in that capacity. Therefore, I have to be there for me in that capacity, working with God on my stuff. Right? Now, with other people, I think it's just something that I have grown out of because I never experienced it, and not in a bad way. No offense to anyone who was around me growing up, but people didn't really show up for me, right? That's just facts. People didn't show up for me for real. And so when I had to learn to show up for myself, it's like, oh, this is what people do for themselves. Cool. Got it. This is what it is. And so I'm realizing there's certain people that I encounter, not necessarily in my support system, but just in general, where it's just like, oh, you're expecting me to be at the center of your storm for you. It's not even with you. You want me to can't do it all for you. And that's what I mean by heavy lifting. I've hit a point where if you haven't talked to God and prayed to God and listened to God about the situation you're going through, please don't ask me for advice because I will give you advice, sure. But the first part of the advice is going to be, what did God say about it? Have you prayed about it? I think you should go talk to God because guess what? I am not. I am not God, and I will not play that role for you. First off, you're not finna get me in trouble. I don't know who you think I am. As much as I talk to my people and anyone who encounters me about all the work I am doing with God on a personal level, you are not finna get me in trouble with Him for accidentally trying to play God in your story. I am not doing that. So if you're not doing your own heavy lifting, don't ask for assistance. I can assist. I can pick up a few things here and there. I can help clean up. Yes, I can do some light stuff, but it's not my path. It's not my journey. It's not my storm. That's for you to handle because God's teaching you something. And if you're too busy, mad that no one's showing up for you, be mad you're not showing up for yourself. Because at this point, you can't tell me you're mad at me. You're mad at you because it doesn't make enough sense. Why are you not showing up for yourself? Why expect everyone to show up but you? Ain't this your party? Ain't you supposed to be hosting and you not here? Oh, it might not be the party you want. It might not be the most positive season in your life right now, but you can't skip out on it expect people to take care of it for you. regardless of how you choose to deal with other people, that's not reality. If you choose to go handle everyone else's battles for them, understand that you're attempting to take God's place. I'm just saying it like that. And it's not the first time you probably heard that. If it is the first time you heard that, deeply understand that that is exactly what that is. Because God wants his children to go to him for help and seek guidance from him, wisdom from him, love from him, peace from him, all those things and so many more from him. So if you are taking the place of that and being the go-to person for your people, or even people who are not your people, you are basically inhibiting them, and that's a problem. So for me in my life, and for people who encounter me, it might irritate them, especially if they're not used to it. But I'm your second. I can be your second, I can be your third, I can be your fourth, whatever. I'm not your first go to. Your first go to needs to be with you in private when you go talk to God. If you need some like help hearing, if you need some, external, like, hey, I'm thinking this, can I talk with you and we just chat? I'm all for it. But I can't tell you what you should do. I can't tell you that. I can make suggestions cuz I'm not dumb about anything. But a lot of people, and there's one particular person I'm thinking about and I love her to death. She will come, and every time I give a suggestion, offer something, give her advice, very sound. It's very basic too. She has a rebuttal of I've tried, and I'm not, saying no, you haven't or anything like that. I'm validating it because what this person is going through is very valid. And also at the same time, I personally can tell that they're lacking the work. They're lacking the work because if it was a constant thing, a constant you seeking the answer in which you desire, a constant requesting, a constant conversation with God where you're telling him what you're needing or asking him what is it that you are needing and you don't even know, then if that's not happening, why are you asking me? As if I know. I don't know. Like, I don't know. And I know that I'm not the only person that experiences this from people in their lives where it's become an expectation that you're going to do the heavy lifting for them. Because I've seen other people who I've just encountered, not even known fully, who have, mentioned something like it. And I'm like, yeah, I get that because I don't understand why that is happening. Why is it that, and I love that people love my wisdom and my connection with God and all these things, but that doesn't make me the go-to. That doesn't make no. No, 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 no. I can relay some things that he tells me to tell you, but the main thing that he's gonna tell me to tell you is go ask him. Go ask him. Please, please, please leave me out of it. Like bring me into it once you start getting on the right path. But right now you are very lost and you're not talking to the right person. Like I can't see the map. I have no idea where you're going. You asking me. I'm not even from here. Like that's how it feels. So yeah, I say all that to say, and with everything I just said, for real, just understand that sometimes it's not the season for you to do the work for them. I'm really moving into season. I'm not doing no work for nobody, and everyone can be mad with me, but I'm doing so much work for myself, and I'm making so much progress. And it's not that I don't want to help you. I'm not doing all the work for you. That's for so many people. Don't do that. Don't come over here like that, because I'm. Guess what? Egypt's really good at setting boundaries this season, and Egypt will say no. So Egypt will say no. All right, it's time for a question from the besties. Okay, so today's question is from Bestie Tori. Now, this is one of my real life best friends. I love her down. And I will say, the past two episodes, they have been pretty light questions. They've been pretty easy. They've been pretty, surface level fun. Today's question. Everyone else sent me some deep questions, but today's question, it actually falls right in line with what we've been talking about today. So, Miss Bestie Tori asked me, how do you discern the difference between God's voice and your own thoughts or emotions? That's a good question. I'll repeat it. How do you discern the difference between God's voice and your own thoughts or emotions? And this is going to send me into a story, basically. So I'm going to try to make it short because you know your girl got ADHD. So basically, I've had to learn how God speaks to me. And I have learned to also learn new ways for God to speak to me. Okay. So those are two things. Growing up, I was very depressed. So I really didn't develop certain levels of spirituality that I wanted to. I was in church, but it was more just like the religion side. It wasn't the relational side. So I realized I was in a lot of cycles. I was in a lot of cycles, and I was really, really, really determined to break them and break out of them because I was so tired of seeing the same thing just in different forms, right? Basically. And so I had developed bodily feelings to where it was like I had started learning, like, if I feel this, don't do this, or just that's a no, or like if I feel this is what that means. Okay, so I started kind of experimenting and going through life like that, right? And so when I hit college, I really realized I was not good at listening. Not It wasn't like a hearing, like, oh, this is what the message said. It's more like following instructions. I was not good at following instructions when I would receive them from him. And so, and I think it was just because I was never really sure if he was the one talking to me. And so in college, I told him, and this is a prayer, literally, I'm having a conversation with God. I'm like, I told him, if I'm not supposed to be doing something, please, give me a tap, give me a push, right? So that way I know. I realized like my body, I had dissociated so much, I really didn't trust the sensations I had in my body. So I remember having moments where I would feel a tap, I feel a tug or something, and my brain's like, you're making it up, and move forward. So, and then I would end up in a situation. So I asked God later when I got frustrated with that, I'm like, you know what? Give me the equivalent of hitting me in the head with a frying pan, but don't let it be like a real frying pan, but help me feel it with that intensity when I'm not supposed to be doing something. Y'all, that's one of those things where it's like, be careful what you ask for, because y'all, I had like really got out of having migraines toward the beginning of college, right? Like I wasn't having them for real. When I tell y'all, God took me so serious and really, like, for example, I was about to walk into what we call in Berea the alumni dining hall. I was about to walk into the side door of that dining hall, and I barely got up the ramp to get to the door, and I just had this blistering pain in my temple, and it was like so bad, like I like started crouching, like it hurt, like I was bent over, my head was pounding, and it made me back up. And as soon as I backed off that ramp and stood up, it went away. And I'm like, hold on. What's happening? Is there like an airborne disease in this front area that I just walked into, and then when I backed up and went away, like I was like, what is this? What's happening? Okay. And then I walked toward the door again. It happened again. I was like, oh, okay. Whoa, backed up. It went away. And I was like, okay. So, and I remember my prayer, right? I remember my prayer. I'm like, something interesting's on this side of the door. Let me try the front door. So I walked all the way around to the front door, right? I didn't have the pain there. It wasn't nothing there. And when you walk in the front door of this building, if you've never been there, of course, probably you haven't, but you should visit. It's really lovely campus. But if you walk in that door a few steps, you can see to the side door of the front part of the building. And I looked and I seen a group of people there. They weren't necessarily looking for me, but it was more like, I don't dislike anybody from Berea, but there's people I just don't deal with. Before, and this was like before I actually had people I severely didn't deal with, but it was like it was people I just didn't fool with because I knew there was something off about them, and it was drama, weird stuff. So I was like, oh, that's what that was. Okay, cool. So I went on with my business, walked where I was going. Later on, like a few days later, I found out something crazy happened with that group of people that day. I was like, oh, that's divine protection. Cool. All right. So that's how that journey started. So as I started getting used to that, it happened quite a few times after that. And I was like, okay, God, we could make it a smaller frying pan, or we could do a tap again. We could just do a tap. We could do because I know I understand like in those moments it's you now. Like it was like let's backtrack just a little bit. So it's like because this frying pan situation is crazy. I don't know what made me jump to that, but I was so serious about it for real. And then I got to the point where it was like, okay, I want to be able to hear from you, get messages from you in more ways than just physically, right? So I did start asking him like to talk to me, and so now he talks to me in many forms of fashions through thoughts, memories, dreams, sounds, smells, feelings, whatever, etc., right? And so the biggest thing where I started from was asking for requests. Now, to fully answer this question, so that's how basically I hear from God. How I can differentiate him versus me versus my emotions, which is really like my bodily feelings where my body senses something in my environment and it triggers something on its own, right? So how I differentiate is things from God. They're like, okay, for example, if it's a thought, when God speaks to me, it's more like I think something that is not mine. And it sounds really weird, but it's like a thought that makes sense, but not something I would think. So if it's like, hey, I'm like in the middle of cooking and da, 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 I'm making this cake, for example, right? I'm just going through the steps of this process. There'll be a thought like, don't use the milk in the refrigerator right now. And it's like, that not that it goes against the process of what I was doing, but that's not what I was thinking about. I was like thinking of the ingredients and what we're gonna do to mix it up. Da, 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 da. So when I go check the milk in the refrigerator, it's like, oh, it stinks terribly. Let's go get some more. It's stuff like that. That's just an example, but like it's stuff like that. So it could be any situation where it's like a thought will cross that's more informational, or if it's like statement driven, or if it's like even sometimes it's not contradicting, but it's the opposite of what you were doing. So it's like you're going into a place, you plan to have a conversation with a certain person, and then you get the thought, I actually don't need to tell them that. And it's like and for me, it's like, it's not I. He's like, you actually don't need to tell them that. And it's like, who is that? And I know like there's certain people who like hear spirits and things. I feel like that's quite different from this particular type of experience with God for me. But it very much is like, hey, interjection is like outside input for me. That's how I've discerned God's voice for my own. Because for me, it's also I hear my voice in my tone. That part. I hear my voice in my tone. I actually think in my voice. A lot of people, I don't know how other people sound in their head, or if people have like a sound that they hear in their head when they think, but I think in my tone. So when I hear God's voice, it's not necessarily in a different tone, but it's in a different. It's different. I don't know how to explain that in a better way, but it is very different, and it's clearer. I think that's the thing that I've been working on a lot this year is clarity of his voice, and so I'm very happy about that. Because before it would be like a whisper. It's like, huh, what is that? And I would have to sit and meditate and figure it out. But now it's very clear, and so it's just about attention as well. It's like if it's a feeling in my body, is this like I have to track it? It's like, is this because I'm in this type of situation, or is it like once again with the example I gave before, the frying pan when I'm trying to walk through this door? Like, where is it coming from? What is it, and what is it telling me? Right? Is this a good thing, bad thing? If it hurts, is it a good hurt? Right? Because sometimes that happens. Um, but yeah, so for me, that's how I discern is because I think it's just because I've done a lot of not background work, but I've done a lot of work in my past to like help me discern what was actually him, and then I've just kind of built onto it. Now he hasn't had like a moment where it's like, oh, who is it? Like the echoing voice from heaven. I think I experienced that once actually, but it wasn't like a. He doesn't do anything like that to me where it's like this is brand new. I think I reverse engineered the process so that way he didn't scare me. Because I told him that I think we had a conversation about that too. I had a full prayer moment with him like that. I'm like, please don't scare me. Because I'm gonna be more scared than I'm gonna be paying attention. So I need you help me help you help me, man. So for sure, yeah, but definitely just take baby steps with that process to learn that discernment of is this him and what is he saying. Okay, it's time for a game. It's time for a game. It's time for the game. It's time for a game. Okay, so today we're gonna go back to episode one's game. Something that made me laugh this week. So okay, so I had, bro, this was so funny. I had brought up earlier this past weekend where I got to hang out with this new group of friends, which was super exciting. I love you guys. Shout out to you guys if you ever hear this. Shout out to Patrick, Sierra, and Philip, and Apple, because yeah. Anyway, but Apple's a dog. So we got together and we played Uno, right? We played Uno. It started off as basic Uno. And then later, like at round 3, we switched it to Ghetto Uno. And man, was that so fun. We had the whole like we were stacking, we was having conversation, we was talking some stuff. I will say that too. That was so fun. But the thing that I remember the most from that whole night, because everyone that came over, we stayed longer than we intended, which was fine. It was fun. But my favorite moment was when Patrick, right, when he won one of the rounds. I think it was the first round where we actually started playing Ghetto Uno. I think, or was it the round right before it? One of them. He had got Uno, and then Philip is sitting across the table from me. He's like, "Oh man!" It's just like the tone in which he said it made both me and Patrick bust out laughing because Patrick had got up. He was about to go use the restroom, and he and I both bust out laughing. We're like, "Why are you saying that?" We almost said it just right in sync because I said it right before it came right out his mouth, so it's not like he could hear me before he said it. But it was just like, man, I was so close, and we was like, "Why are you complaining? You had like 13 cards. What are you talking about?" And and when I said it, right after that, he said it, and we looked at each other and busted out laughing. And it was just so funny to be in sync, but it was just so funny to be like on that level with somebody else where it was just like, It was so funny because I'm like, I'm not going crazy. Like he has like 13 cards. Is what am I missing something? And so it was such a great experience. It was so funny. I think Ghetto Uno is like a great um community building community building game because you get to see people act crazy, and not even in a competition sense, but it's just like we was first off, it was getting late too. It wasn't even late. We first off, at this point, we are old people, man. It was before 6. Now, Patrick had a little something to drink, so he was already kind of there. But everybody, and then Philip was a little bit there too because he was sipping on some stuff. But me and Sierra, we was just sleepy because it was like it's about to be 6 o'clock. It hit 6 o'clock, and I was so ready to lay down, and so we was all just a little bit goofy, and but it was so fun and it was refreshing. And so I'm really excited to like have so many more experiences like that with them and with other people too. It was just really fun. But yeah, I definitely think like if you man, it's so funny thinking about like if someone did that for their job, like community building. Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny. And I would be the person who would suggest it too. Look, let's put good Ghetto Uno. Everybody, I don't know why that's so funny to think about. But for real though, that I think for me that's the thing that made me laugh the most this week. For sure. Yes. Thank you for staying with me and listening to this week's podcast. I know these first few are coming out all at once, but after this, it's going to be every week, and I am super, super excited. So don't forget to show some love and rate the podcast. This is my start, restart, and revamp season, so the encouragement you give me will never go unseen or unappreciated. So please show some love. And if you have any questions or comments, or you want your question answered in an upcoming episode, don't be shy. Comment it wherever you're listening to this, or hop over to my Instagram and ask me there. Preface it with question from a bestie, so I know what you're talking about, because I need to know, that I'm not just supposed to answer you there. You want me to answer you here, right? So go do that. And this has been another episode of the Let Me Be Serious podcast, where we're always going to have a great time and still have a serious moment or two. And I will see you next week. Bye.